name is Luigi Vendatelli. I'm a researcher in the UFO field, and I'm here today with Lisa. She has a very special story to tell, and the reason why I'm speaking is because Lisa is francophone, speaks very, very limited English, so she'll occasionally be speaking some of the details in French, but I'll try to give you as much details as I can in English. So she was born in 1975, and what's really, really important, what's really amazing about her story is that her mother in 1975 was pregnant, she was 8 months pregnant when she decided to go upstairs in the bedroom to take a break. She had already had kids, they were in the house, they were playing, and so she was tired, as many 8-month-old future moms are, and so went to the bedroom, decided to lie down, and the moment she hit the bed, she was immediately paralyzed. And she started seeing this metallic gray object. This was immediately, so she paralyzed, and she was very concerned about that, and she started seeing this object come through the walls in the corner of the room right in front of her. And this was actually in the city of Saint-Jérôme in Quebec. And so she has no control over her body. She's completely paralyzed, and this thing is coming through, and suddenly she feels the presence of two beings, or feels the presence of somebody near her. So she turns her eyes, because she couldn't turn her head, and sees these two tiny little beings with big heads and big black eyes that are just standing by her bed. And obviously this freaked her out, and she was very concerned. So she immediately said, "Who are you? Who are you? Like, leave me alone." And she said that she could hear them speaking to themselves in her head. They weren't verbally speaking, but she could hear what they were saying. And one of them said, "She's not ready yet," while the other one said, "Yes, she is." And so again, she was 8 months pregnant. So she assumed that they wanted to do something because they were saying she's ready or not ready. So she says, "Leave me alone. My kids are in the house. I don't want to do anything. Leave me alone. Please go away." And her memory that she recalls is that she convinced them to leave. And so she says that she actually convinced these two beings to not do anything, and that they left. And she saw this. She doesn't remember how the two beings actually left the room. She just knows they weren't there anymore, and that this gray metallic object was backing out, basically out of the wall, and it was gone, and that she was okay. What's really incredible is that, again, she was pregnant 8 months, so 1 month later she gives birth. And so throughout her entire pregnancy, she had gone to see her doctor as a pregnant woman would do, to go verify if everything is okay, to make sure that she was fine. And they had always confirmed that there was one baby. The doctor was confirming that there was one baby. So the day that she was going into labor, the mother delivered a baby boy. And so the nurses cleaned the baby, they put him on his bed, and the doctor walked out of the room because everything was done. And not very, very shortly after that, the nurses started screaming, telling the doctor to come back because they said there's another baby. And the doctor said that's completely impossible. There's no way that there's another baby. And there was, and Lisa was born. What's really incredible is that the mother has had this incredible experience 1 month prior to her giving birth, and there was no evidence of a second baby in her womb when she was being checked by the doctor. So this is quite extraordinary. Many years after that, and this is, I would say, in Lisa's teenage years, her mother was then again visited by a being, and this time the being was not a gray. This time the being was a human-looking being. He looked like a man. And this struck me because having done so much research in the field, to her it didn't seem plausible. It almost like, it was just a man. but I had heard of people who had experiences with these extraterrestrials or unknown beings that looked like us, looked like humans. And so this man was a very tall man. He was a redhead, and she said he was wearing, his bottom was were these like jumpsuit pants where the pant turned into like, there wasn't a shoe, it was like a whole one piece, like kind of like a onesie that a baby wears, but from the bottom down. And on the top he was wearing like a doctor's coat, and on his chest here had the medical symbol with the snake, and she remembers clearly seeing that.
Tell me again, where did she see him and experience him?
So she's immediately in a place where she's with him. She awakens with him, and she's in a room. She says it's like a large round room, and she's with this man. And she asks what his name is. She asks, who are you? And he said, you can, and keep in mind, all the communication is happening in French. But this man answered in French, "Tu peux m'appeler John." So he said, you can call me John. But in French, when you say John, it actually is Jean. But in this case, he actually used the name John. So the English version of it. It's interesting. And so they were in this room, and there was all these vials. She says it was these little tiny vials all around the room, and it looked like a pharmacy, she said. And so she asked them, where are we? What is this? What are those? And he says, that's all the medication that can cure humanity, but we're never going to give it to you because you're not supposed to be sick. And she found that to be very strange as a comment. It was something that struck her, and she wrote it down, and I remember when she told me about this.
This is Lisa's first time telling her story on camera.
Right.
How does that make her feel?
C'est la première fois que tu parles devant une caméra comme ça. Comment tu te sens?
Je me sens bien.
She feels good.
Je suis avec des personnes de confiance.
Good people.
J'ai déjà vécu aussi une expérience, j'étais un animal. Un genre de lézard, je pense.
Ah oui?
C'était une belle expérience.
Durant un voyage astral?
Ben, c'était comme si c'était vrai. Vraiment, je pouvais le sentir par terre.
So she had another experience where she lived the experience of being a lizard. And she was a lizard, and she said it was very real, and she could feel her hands touching the ground like she was the lizard.
What do you think that means? Ça veut dire quoi?
Ça veut dire quoi?
Je sais pas. Je peux pas savoir.
She
C'est
doesn't
juste
know.
que c'est intriguant.
It's very intriguing. It's intriguing,
Sûrement
but
peut-être qu'il y a des réponses à quelque part, mais
Because some people say